Hello heroes! Today we are going to get into our Unit 1 preview, which is a very short introduction to what you can expect out of our first unit in case you are chomping at the bit to find out. So briefly, we will discuss what we're going to start off with at the beginning of our unit. We will talk about our two main texts, which are Beowulf and King Arthur from The Once and Future King by T.H. White. And we will briefly discuss what our unit assessment is going to look like. So, to begin our heroes in their normal world, let's take a quick look at this quote from Alexander Hamilton, not from the play but from the man himself. There is a certain enthusiasm in liberty that makes human nature rise above itself in acts of bravery and heroism. You will find that that quote is especially pertinent to our project about our epic heroes in this first unit. Alright, so for our pre-assessment, we will begin with a pre-assessment of skills, and this will be a very quick look at a mentor text and answering a couple of free response questions. Then we will go over our 9 weeks project, which will be due at the end of Unit 2, but I want you to be prepared since the theme does go across the first and second units. And we will look at the assessed standards, which will be the same across both units in our gradebook. And finally, we will wrap up the beginning of our unit with key learning, where we discover archetypes and dig deep into the idea of the hero's journey. So our first major text is going to be Beowulf. And a great quote from the translation by Seamus Haney: "Anyone with gumption and a sharp mind will take the measure of two things, what's said and what's done." So we'll read a selection of passages from Beowulf, not the whole thing, just parts of it, which is an Anglo-Saxon epic, written down around the early 11th century, but this is just when it was written down. Like many epic poems, it was very much part of the oral tradition of the Anglo-Saxon culture, and when it was actually composed is hard to say. The epic follows the great warrior Beowulf as he endeavors to defeat Grendel, the monster plaguing the Danes and slaughtering them en masse. He is known for his heroism and bravery and arrives to finally dispatch Grendel. But what do the fates have in store for Beowulf in this tale of blood and power? If you've seen the movie, don't cheat. Okay, so our second tale is going to be that of King Arthur, one of which more of you might be familiar with, but we are going to tackle a selection from T.H. White's The Once and Future King. And a great quote from this book: "A chaos of mind and body, a time for weeping at sunsets and at the glamour of moonlight, a confusion and profusion of beliefs and hopes in God and truth and love and in eternity. An ability to be transported by the beauty of physical objects, a heart to ache or swell, a joy so joyful and a sorrow so sorrowful that oceans could lie between them." Our writing is full of this, but not so full that you're going to drown in it. I do hope that by the end of our time, you will learn to love reading beautiful bits of language. So, King Arthur, a legendary king and warrior who reigned somewhere, according to medieval histories and romances, around the late 5th, early 6th century. And here is a 1903 interpretation of the King Arthur by Charles Ernest Butler. And we will tie it all together with our unit assessment, which is not the same as our 9 weeks project that will come in October, but our unit assessment is going to occur before we move on to Unit 2 and will happen in the last 2 weeks of our unit for September. So the question will be, what is one character trait common in epic heroes that both Beowulf and King Arthur share based on their portrayals in Beowulf and the Once and Future King? So we're going to look at 3 specific skills: writing literary analysis claims, selecting text evidence to support those claims, and explaining your reasoning and providing context behind that text evidence. So ultimately, you are analyzing literary texts and making inferences and supporting those inferences. And that'll be the bulk of what we focus on for the last 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks, we have our texts, and the last 2 weeks, we will begin on actually writing our essay. We will workshop our essay with peer review. You will get time to revise it, and then you will turn it in at the end of the unit. Don't worry, we are going to have plenty of practice. So if this is the first time you've really have dug deep into a literary analysis, don't sweat it. Everything's going to be a-okay. Alright, so we are at the end of our introduction video. If you have any questions, then you know how to find me. Have a great day.